Dear students, nice to meet you again. This is lecture 3, and as you know, per the previous lectures, that we have two parts. The first part is national health accounts, and the second part is about systems of healthcare financing. And these two parts are related, as we have previously explained in the previous lectures. Concerning part 1, we discussed the system of national accounts. The system of national accounts may be defined as a set of budgets, tables, macroeconomic accounts based on widely agreed upon concepts and classifications to provide information about economic activities, economic relationships between their economy and the rest of the world, and relationships between different economic sectors, about wealth, about assets, to do what? To help us in both economic analysis and economic decision taking. Okay, and as you know, that it's important to know information about system of national accounts because the health sector is not isolated. The health sector works in an economy, and it's affected. Of course, this sector, the health sector, is affected by different economic conditions, and we should know about these economic conditions. In this lecture, we turn to the national health accounts. That's the first lecture concerning specifically national health accounts. Okay. In this lecture, we have 6 main points to discuss. First, introduction about why to care about national health accounts. Okay. And second, what we mean by national health accounts. And third, a history of national health accounts. And fourth, why to create national health accounts. And fifth point, producers, who are the main producers and users of national health accounts. And finally, what are the different methods of health accounting? This is the reference used in this lecture. And by the end of the lecture, hopefully, we will be able to do what? To define national health accounts, to answer the question, what are national health accounts? What do we mean by national health accounts? Why do we need national health accounts? And to determine producers and users of national health accounts, to answer the question, who are the main producers and users of national health accounts? Are we users or producers of national health accounts? And finally, to compare different methods of health accounting, different methods used in compiling national health accounts. First, why to care about national health accounts in the first place? Actually, healthcare resources is necessary to achieve the health sector targets. Talking about improving access to health services, improving the quality of health services, we all agree upon these targets. But the question is about how could we achieve such targets? Okay, we all need to improve access to health services. You will find no one that would say, no, we don't need to improve access to healthcare services, or we don't need to improve quality of healthcare services. Yes, we all need to achieve these targets. However, the question is about resources available to achieve such targets. So we need to know more information about these resources. This is more critical, and we see we have still relatively limited resources while demand for health services is growing. It's growing fast. And I don't need in this point, concerning this point exactly, I don't need to give any example. You are living the example. You are living the situation. Concerning, we all are concerned about economic resources. Are economic resources sufficient? Used, are these resources used efficiently to help us face this crisis? Okay, so that's a good, unfortunately, that's a good example. Unfortunately, yes, health resources are relatively limited, while demand for health is continuing to grow, continue to grow. So the questions about health resources, about health expenditure, is more relevant. The question about health resources and expenditure is more relevant in this case. We need good information about financing and utilizing of funds in health sector. These can be provided through national health accounts. As we previously explained in the last lecture, to know more information about activities in a good way, we need system of national accounts. And here we need the system of national health accounts. So we need this information, and the way to provide such information is to compile a national health account system. During the last decade, two main developments have been witnessed. These two important improvements are: first, the interest in producing health accounts had grown, especially in developing countries, and that's very important. Developing countries, developing 80% of the total populations world lives in developing countries. This is very important development in the interest in compiling national health accounts. And you of course know that the problem of the relatively limited resources is more prevalent in the case of developing countries. They have priorities more important than compiling national health accounts. So growing interest in national health accounts is very important development. The second development, is that methods to produce health accounts have improved. Okay, we have different methods actually to compile national health accounts, as we will talk about. We will talk about this point later in this lecture. However, we have many methods, different methods to produce national health accounts. However, we need to agree on a certain method so information data may be compared among different countries. Okay, so these are two important developments during the last two decades. More interest in compiling national health accounts and better methods to compile such system of national health accounts. Okay, we need national health accounts. We need a system of national health accounts. But what do we mean by national health accounts? We mean a set of accounts that describe all expenditure flowed within the health sector, both governmental and non-governmental. And concerning this point, it's a very important point. We are not talking about the public budget. We are talking about expenditure, total expenditure in the health sector, total revenues available in the health sector, not governmental revenues or governmental expenditure. We are talking about governmental and non-governmental expenditures and revenues. Okay, total expenditure in the health sector, total revenues in the health sector. Okay, not just governmental. We are not talking here about the public budget. We are studying national health accounts, not the public budget of the health sector. Okay, that's a very important point. Okay, these set of accounts describe expenditure flows. What do we mean by expenditure flows? We mean two main flows. Where does the money come from? Sources of funding. And where does the money go? Uses of funds. Okay, so the aim of compiling national health accounts is to achieve a comprehensive and consistent census of health-related activities, such as the system of national accounts. But here, the main concern is about the health sector, not the whole economy, not the national economy. Okay, what about the history of national health accounts? Okay, interest in national health accounts has evolved over time. We may distinguish between four different stages of interest concerning interest in national health accounts. First, the 60s, second, 70s and 80s, third, 90s, and 2000s. In the 60s, we have two studies by Epismus, supported and financed by WHO. These studies work on developing countries, and comparative analysis is possible. Comparative analysis comparing different developing countries in these studies is possible, of course, because we have one author and one type of methods used. One type of method, one author, so we may compare the results of different countries and reach a conclusion about uh, the difference between these countries concerning expenditure flows, concerning expenditure and revenues, concerning flows, different flows, funding flows in the health sector in these countries. Why? It's easy to compare with the same author, the same methods used. Concerning the 70s and 80s, we have more than two studies. We have different country studies on both developing and developed countries, supported by different organizations: WHO, USAID, World Bank, Pan American Health Organization. Uh, these all study health expenditures in different countries, developing and developed countries. But comparative analysis actually is not possible because because different methods of compiling national health accounts were used in these studies. We cannot compare the results because the results depend on different methods used. Okay. In contrast to, of course, to the 60s, when one author, one type of methods used. Concerning 90s, there was growing interest of producing national health accounts. It's a good development, of course, supported by different international organizations, WHO, World Bank, in addition to donors. The importance of national health accounts differs among developing and developed countries. While in developed countries, it's demanded by policy makers. Yes, it's a necessity. Actually, they cannot make a health plan without referring to national health accounts. They use national health accounts. National health accounts they consider national health accounts very important. Okay, while in other countries, especially developing countries, national health accounts are less important for policymakers. Actually, they have priorities different than compiling national health accounts. They have problems, different problems, severe problems. So actually, it's not a priority to compile national health accounts. In 2000, there was a study uh, by the WHO in 2000 titled Health Systems Improving Performance. This study was an important step. Actually, it reveals growing interest in measuring health system performance and shed light on the importance of national health accounts as a tool to describe national health systems. Okay, this study sheds light about difficulty of conducting a comparative analysis because we don't have one method, we don't have a system of national health accounts. That was a very important step in evolving a system of national health accounts, in compiling a system of national health accounts. Okay. Why to create national health accounts? Okay, policymakers, donors, Ministry of Health, World Health Organization, those who are concerned with compiling system of national health accounts. Why to create such a system? Healthcare resources, which are fundamental for healthcare provision, for improving access to health services, for improving quality of health services. However, these resources are relatively limited, are scarce. So, therefore, they should be used efficiently. And we previously defined efficiency. We cannot, that's a situation, we cannot redistribute economic resources to make someone better off without making another person worse off. So we need information about economic resources available, and distribution of these economic resources, and the possibility to analyze the possibility of redistributing such resources to improve, to make other people better off without making others worse off. Okay, so we need good information about expenditure, the distribution of expenditure, the resources available, that's revenues in the health sector. So that cannot be done without a system of national health accounts. So national health accounts will help us to do what? To track each dollar spent on health care from source of financer to the use of it. Yes, very important to track these flows, and helps us to measure healthcare systems performance, revealing weaknesses and opportunities in this sector. For example, studies on Mexico revealed equity problems. There were inequity in distributing economic resources. Okay, it helps us also to strengthen healthcare policies, to make it more rational, depending on good information about expenditure and expenditure flows, and about revenues, about availability of economic resources to the health sector. So we can develop rational plans, not just plans with good ideas, with good targets, and cannot be achieved because it's not based. If a plan is not based on good information about expenditures and revenues, don't expect this plan to be rational, to be a good plan. And to make use, national health accounts also helps in making better use of healthcare resources. We cannot recommend to redistribute economic resources in the health sector, to make to shift some resources from services A to B, or from region X to region Y, or from sub certain service to another other services, without good information about expenditures, distribution of expenditures among regions, among socioeconomic groups, among different items of expenditure, and among different sources. So, without national health accounts, we will find it difficult to run the health sector, to develop rational health plans, to put targets and be able to achieve these targets. Okay, and the result will be poor performance, of the sector, we cannot achieve our targets concerning more access to health services and better quality of health services. Okay, however, we need to know that it's a necessary condition to have national health accounts, system of national health accounts. Yes, it's necessary condition to make an efficient use of resources, to make rational economic plans, but actually it's not sufficient. It's necessary but not sufficient. Each country, it's up to each country to use the information wisely. The information may be available, but the result may be different than expected. We expect this information to help us form a good health policies. However, um, they may not be used to do so. So the result will be different. So it's necessary condition, but not sufficient. And the system of national health accounts, we should note that when it in those countries that never have where national system of national accounts never have been developed before, that will require large efforts in compiling national health accounts will require large efforts in early phase. Concerning producers and users of health accounts, actually are users. We are not producers. But who are the producers? What agencies? We may consider producers of health accounts. We are talking about two types of agencies. Agencies taking the initiative to create national health accounts, to encourage doing that, to finance that, and agencies responsible for commissioning, for developing the actual system of national health accounts. Concerning taking the initiative, we have Ministry of Health, of course, research agencies, public and private, of course, in addition to different donors, NGOs, multilateral organizations these institutions can provide finance to develop national health accounts. Okay, concerning agencies responsible for commissioning the development of health accounts, we have two main questions. What are most common institutions interested or responsible for commissioning, compiling system of national health accounts? And the second question is about incentives. Differences between institutions in incentives, for example, to take such an initiative. Okay. Most common institutions that usually are responsible for commissioning and development of the health sector is the government, the Ministry of Health. The government cooperate with other Ministry of Health cooperate with other ministries, especially Ministry of Finance. We are talking about expenditures and revenues, so we need information from Ministry of Finance, from national statistical offices such as CAPMAS, for example, in Egypt, Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, and of course public sector research agencies such as the National Research Center, for example, and universities, experts in universities. The opinion of experts in universities is very important, in addition to some institutions outside the government. Variations among countries. Actually, countries, especially developing and developed countries, differ in capacity of national agencies to compile national health accounts. We are talking about both financial capabilities and human capabilities. There was a wide difference in both financial capabilities and human capabilities between a developed country such as the USA and a developing country such as Mozambique, for example, in both financial capabilities and human capabilities. And concerning taking the initiative, there is a difference also in the incentive behind taking this step, the step of taking the initiative to create, to compile the system of national health accounts. It may be for its own purpose, such as a master of health, to use it in both in designing different plans, and in taking decisions concerning the health sector, concerning redistributing resources in the health sector. While as a part of another, some agencies, some research agencies will be concerned about, say, evaluating about about certain aspect, evaluating performance in spending or in raising revenues and so on. That's talking about their projects, their research, the main goals of the research. Okay, who are the main users? Concerning users, on the other side, who are the main users of national health accounts and their uses? In talking about variations between countries in using national health accounts, the main users are multilateral organizations, yes, such as the World Bank, WHO, to do what, mostly the most important use is international comparisons, evaluating the performance of different countries and comparing the performance of the health sector in different countries. Okay, analyzing reasons behind good performance or bad performance, differences in performance of different health sectors in different countries. Concerning users, the second, um, we have also donors. Donors are considered are concerned with compiling national health accounts for different purposes, including in-country analysis. Say a certain donor evaluates or considers a donation for a certain country. Uh, so, to which sector, to which services, or to which region, or which problems. Okay, okay. These are too many, so important questions for the donor to take the decision of this donation, and the answers to these questions may be provided through national health accounts. Concerning governments use this system, the national health accounts, for internal decisions, policy making, budgeting processes, and so on. Concerning companies entering markets related to the healthcare market, they are concerned with in-country analysis, internal decisions. Okay, should I target this country? Should I target a certain problem, a certain disease, and so on? So also companies need national health accounts. Uh, there is a great variation between countries regarding using national health accounts. Few developed countries, actually, they are developed countries usually, use the national health accounts regularly and consider it a necessity in designing policies and plans. However, in most developing countries, governments, maybe ministers of health, may be unaware of the importance of the availability, actually, of this national health account. It's not a priority. They have more severe problems, so they cannot think about national health accounts and combining national health accounts. As a whole, we can say that national health accounts in the whole world is not being used to the extent it deserves to be right now. Okay. What are the different methods used in health accounting? What are the main methods used in developing countries? And what are the main determinants of method choice? We have three main methods used in health accounting. The first is system of national accounts, satellite accounts. In the system of national account, in 1993, it's okay to compile accounts, not part as a part of the system, but it's called a satellite. Sorry, these accounts are called satellite accounts. To do what? To analyze certain subject, certain problem, um, a certain problem which is important uh, 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 in for a certain country. For example, a Gulf country and Egypt. We may be concerned about unemployment, so we can make a satellite account for labor force and unemployment. While, say, a certain Gulf country is concerned about environmental problems, so they can compile a satellite account concerning environmental problems. Satellite accounts actually are not available, are not uh, satellite accounts cannot be compiled in system of in SNE 2008. Okay, but we are talking about SNE 1993. Yes, satellite accounts may be compiled. Satellite accounts is a standardized system of statistical analysis with international cross comparability. To do to compile a satellite account in the system of national accounts has an important advantage, which is that it shows links between the health sector and the macroeconomy. Okay. However, this method, which is satellite accounts, a few countries use this method. This method. Concerning this, the second method, which is the most common used method, this method is called the National Health Account or the Hartford method. It's a more recent development and actually describes the flows of resources within the health sector using the matrix approach. This matrix describes what? Describe health expenditures classified by type of provider, then classified by who pays, by sector, by type of beneficiaries, and so on, and can be constructed to display geographic differences, okay, or patient characteristics. This is the most common used method, especially in developing countries such as in Africa, Latin America, and Middle East. System of health accounts comes in between the two methods. It uses an interlinked tables. This system consists of sets of interlinked tables to answer three main questions about each expenditure item. To track each expenditure item, trying to answer three main questions. The first question is about healthcare, the distribution of healthcare expenditure by function. And the second question is about the distribution of healthcare expenditure by service provider. And the third question is about sources of funding healthcare. So for each expenditure item, this method is concerned with answering three main questions. The first, well, the distribution of expenditure by function. The second, by service provider, and the third, the sources of funding healthcare. Okay, and this method is used by around one third of countries, especially in Asian countries. Determinants of methods used. The main determinants, we have three main determinants: the initiative taker, the purpose of the initiative taker, the purpose behind taking this step. This step, I mean by this step, taking the initiative to compile system of national health account in certain country. Why? What is the main purpose? So the initiative taker is an important determinant. The second, institutional availability of institutional capabilities. We are talking here about, we are considering here financial capabilities, human capabilities. Okay, it's very important. Lack of human capabilities and financial capabilities, actually we cannot use the flight account. We cannot use this method. It's Harvard method. for example. And the third, the individual preferences among those involved in the process of health accounting. Those who compile the system, we are talking about their preferences, their abilities. Okay, thank you, and looking forward to meet you again in the next lecture. Thank you.